Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my weekly wrap-up. I'm a day late doing this. I just didn't have a chance to film it yesterday. Last week I sewed quite a bit, so I listened to audiobooks and completed 2 of them. The first one I completed was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah, if you don't know, is a comedian, and he currently is the host of The Daily Show on the Comedy Channel. He was born in South Africa during apartheid. The reason it's called Born a Crime is because he is half black and half white, which at the time of his birth was a crime for any black and white persons to have sex and have children, or just have sex, or be in a relationship together. So it tells about his story of his life growing up in South Africa. This is the first time I've read a book about somebody actually living in apartheid. Now, apartheid did end when he was a younger child, although it ended, but it took years for things to start changing. So he does tell about his life. He relates mostly to black people. His mother is black and he grew up with her. His father is white, a European, and was not around a whole lot. So he talks about the different areas within South Africa. He was very poor. His mother was very religious. His mother is the person he dedicated the book to. Her name is Patricia. She's a very, very strong woman. He talks really great about her, but he also gives everyone's faults, and including his own, which I really appreciated. He does talk about life being poor and how you survive with all sorts of means. Some are not legal, but for the most part he doesn't give anyone a break, which I thought was really good. You learn a lot in this book as well. You learn that apartheid is based on the way Native Americans were treated by Europeans or new Americans coming into the United States, and also slavery around the world, which was very heartbreaking because a horrific act that you think we'd learn by is being used to reinforce that horrific behavior even in modern times, more modern times. So that was very eye-opening. He does do a lot of generalizations. He will start sentences off as blacks do this, whites do this, Jews do this, which almost sounds like the way a comedian starts telling a joke. But what follows is more of what he sees as a fact of a group of people, which was a little different to hear because you would think he would get away from those generalizations, but I think he was trying to convey what he saw groups of people like as a child. One thing about this book that I missed is that he never told how he became a comedian. He takes his life up until his early 20s, and then he says, I was traveling around South Africa as a comedian, but he doesn't say how he got there. So I'm sure there will be a follow-up book to show how he got out of kind of a life of doing whatever to survive to a life of comedy, and also how he got to the United States, because he does live in the United States now, I believe. Overall, it was a really good book. He narrates the audiobook, which I found really enjoyable. I think an author, especially telling an autobiography, does the best job of reading the book, so I would really recommend this one. And the second book that I finished was also a nonfiction audiobook, and it was The Girls of Atomic City, The Untold Story of the Women Who Helped with World War II by Denise Kieman, or Kieman, and I'll put her name below so you can see how it's spelled. She writes about a secret location in Tennessee that was created to help in the creation of the atomic bomb. The people that were recruited to work there, which at one time was around 70 to 100,000 people, were not told why they were there. There was only a couple people that even knew what the location was doing. So most people were in one area, but they didn't talk to another area. You could be on one floor of a building, but you had no idea what another floor of the building was doing. It talks a lot about how things were kept secret, how the FBI was around to make sure that nobody spoke about what they were doing or even tried to guess what they were doing. The whole effort was kept secret from the people until the atomic bomb was actually dropped. This was done because they knew that Germany was also trying to work on an atomic bomb, and England and the United States decided they would create one as well. They decided to do it in the United States because England was being bombed. And so you had Los Alamos, New Mexico, you had Tennessee, and a place in the east as well. Although this book says you're going to hear a lot about what the women did to help the war effort, I felt it was more about working women at this area and what they dealt with. So you hear a lot about standing in line for food, not having makeup, not having pantyhose, dating all these single men and what they wanted to do, how it was unusual for a woman to leave home to work, etc. What they did, they didn't know what they were doing. They knew they were like, I twisted knob, I fill up this bucket, but I don't know why. You hear that's what their job was, but you really don't hear much more than that about their support of the war effort. You do hear about segregation within the camp, to include women were in one area with barbed wire around them, men were in another area, because there was a lot of single people at this camp, which they called the reservation. But married couples could live together if you were white, but if you were black you could not. So you see that the prejudice that was in the United States, even on this government location where they were all supporting one effort, was still apparent because the Jim Crow laws were still in effect in Tennessee. So if there was a movie theater, blacks could not go to that movie theater. They had to set up their own kind of room to watch films and things like that. As I said, the married couples couldn't live together, so their life was just as bad as it was in living outside of this government facility. Their sons were also going to World War II and fighting, but they were treated like not even citizens. So that was a lot that you learn from this. She also goes into this explanation of how plutonium is made, how yellow cake and all these terms were used during this time. That was really interesting. The thing that I had a problem with this book is I don't think that the narrative was consistent. At one time you got fact, and then another time you went into almost a fictional account of what was going on, to the point where FBI agents visit this woman to tell her that they want her to spy on her friends, and you hear about her folding laundry and being careful not to knock over her laundry piles and things like that, which to me went into almost a fictional account of a nonfiction story, and then we go back to fact checking and things like that. Now the author did interview a lot of people that were still alive that worked there, so that was interesting. She also gives you a follow-up on what has happened to these people since she wrote this book, or during the time that she wrote this book. So that was interesting. I don't think this is what I thought it was going to be, so I was a little bit disappointed. If I was rating it, I would probably give it a 3. I think if you want to learn about the making of the atom bomb and what was going on during that time, it is very interesting, and she does give you a lot of facts about that. I just thought you would hear more woman-focused, and not to the point where you hear about makeup and stockings and folding laundry and things like that. So those are the books that I finished this week. I am currently reading Chappy by Patricia Grace. This is our Read Around the World book of the month. Because I have it in Kindle format, I just didn't get a chance to sit down and read it. So far I'm enjoying it. I probably should finish it in the next couple of days, and then I'll pick something else to read. I'm just focusing on that book for right now. So that's all for now. I will talk to you later. Have a good day. Goodbye.